Welcome to an overview for the Torchlight 2 Outlander class. We're going to go into detail on his skill trees and abilities and exactly what his role is in Torchlight 2. We'll start with the warfare skills. Now, the warfare skills are all about keeping him at the back of the fight. Now, the Outlander deals physical and magic damage using ranged weapons and spells, and the warfare tree is all about dealing that physical damage and keeping mobs away from you. A good example of this is the rapid fire ability, which is the first one you can get. As you can see, rapid bursts of projectiles that force enemies back and strip away their armour. It's keeping them out of the fight. When something walks towards you, as an Outlander, you do not want them getting near you because you have no health. You're there purely for the damage. So you need to be able to force the enemies back and just keep on firing. The same goes for the Rune Vault, second ability available to you at level 7. If you do get jumped, if you do get surrounded, hell, if anything gets anywhere near to you at all, you want to Rune Vault out. This throws you backwards, away from your target, and leaves behind a sigil that can blind them. Now, it won't always, it's only a 50% chance of blindness. But, again, it's keeping those mobs under control, away from you, so you can sit back and blast away with your gangster pistols. We've got things like Vortex, Hex, summons a fetish which draws nearby enemies towards it. Again, keeping them away from you, so you can just sit there, blast away. The passive skills for the warfare tree really show what it's all about. You've got long range mastery, which is additional ranged weapon damage, and additional range on bows, crossbows, pistols and wands, which are the primary weapons for the Outlander. You've got shotgun mastery, which again has got knockback, stun capability and the chance to blind enemies. And of course you can't forget the damage. If you want to go all out mental, 2 pistols, start putting points into akimbo, and you end up being a damage machine. Now, by contrast, the lore tree is more about poison and fire damage. As you can see here, Glaive Throw deals poison damage. It also bounces from one enemy to another, so it doesn't start out as an AoE as such, but with enough points into it, it becomes something that will hit up to 8 enemies. You've also got Tangling Shot. Now, with Glaive Throw, the movement speed is reduced of enemies by 25% for 2 seconds. Tangling Shot immobilises enemies and deals poison damage. Burning Leap throws you into the middle of the fight and deals fire damage. Flaming Glaives deals fire damage. Basically, what isn't an AoE in this tree deals poison or fire. It's all about AoEs and dots. You can see that you're supposed to be in the middle of the fight with the lore tree because you've got dodge mastery. It just increases your dodge chance. That's it. That's the whole thing. I mean, what does that tell you? You're supposed to be in the middle, AoEing, dotting. You're not standing at the edge of the fight with this tree. You've got Poison Burst. Again, AoE poison damage. And Share the Wealth. Now, this increases your charge benefits. We'll go over charge in a moment. But this increases your charge benefits and applies it to allies. It's basically increased combat stats to enable you to stay in the middle of the fight for longer. We'll just quickly take a look at charge so that that's got some context for you. Now, the Outlander Charged Bar, it gains charge by damaging enemies, and the charge will decay after you stop attacking for a while. It gives you combat bonuses up to 10%. You get cast speed, dodge chance, critical hit chance and attack speed. So when Share the Wealth says that 20% of your benefits are shared, and you get the same percentage as an additional bonus to your own, you can see how that would mean that you should be staying in the fight for as long as possible. Now, the last tree is the Sigil Tree, and this is a strange one compared to the other two. The Sigil Tree is all about buffs and debuffs. It's about controlling the mobs, making sure they do less damage and keeping your allies doing more and, you know, gaining more armour and health. You've got Blade Pact here, which decreases movement speed and attack speed on enemies and reduces their armour. You've got Stone Pact, which increases armour for allies and heals them over 3 seconds. Shadow Mantle, 33% chance to reflect missiles. You know, this is all about getting in there, keeping the mobs as weak as possible whilst keeping yourself and your team as strong as possible. You're not dealing the damage in this tree, the damage is done by things like this, the Shadowling ammo. So you've got a chance of converting slain enemies into Shadowling bats that fight for you. You're dealing extra damage, extra elemental damage. It's all about the buffs, debuffs. It's not about you, this tree. And of course, you've got the full big nasty at the end of the tree, the Shadowling Brute, which comes out and bitch slaps everyone around you. Now, we'll just take a look at the stats as well. So we've got Strength, Dexterity, Focus and Vitality. Now, the Outlander, being a ranged DPS character, starts with most of his points in Dexterity, and then an equal split between Strength and Focus. Vitality doesn't really get a look in. After all, if you're going Warfare especially, you don't need Vitality. You should be knocking enemies away and killing them before they can get to you. So, for the Warfare tree, you're best sticking your points into Dexterity for that critical strike and dodge, and possibly Strength to increase the damage of those critical strikes. For the lore skills, you're going to be in the middle of the fight a lot more. You'll still want to focus on Dexterity, because you need that dodge chance, you need that crit chance, but also a bit of Vitality wouldn't go amiss. Whilst you do have some crowd control, you don't have as much in the way of knockbacks and escape mechanisms in the lore tree as you do in the Warfare tree. For the Sigil skills, you're not really the one doing the damage. It's more buffing those around you and debuffing enemies and allowing your pets to do the work. So it's probably worth saying that the Sigil Tree is more of a focus of Vitality. You're going to need to be in the fight to be able to cast your buffs and debuffs, but at the same time you're not going to be doing that much damage yourself. So you need to be able to cast plenty of spells, you need to be able to survive a bit of a beating. So focus and Vitality is probably the way to go for that. I hope you found this guide helpful. Don't forget to click all the links in the description, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time.